Good morning. Another car chat today. So when God teaches us something, I've learned, one of the things I've learned is if God teaches us something, He gives us time. He will pound it into our brains over and over and over again, and He'll give us the time to actually learn it. And not just learn it in our mind and our brain, but also to let it make that travel from the brain down to the heart. So it really becomes part of who we are, not just a knowledge, not just something we know. He gives us time. He doesn't give up on us. He just, as long as we give Him, as long as we make Him Lord and we put in our, we give Him the desires of our heart, He will give us the time to change. He knows that we're human. He knows that we're flawed. And something else I've also learned, though, is that when the preacher preaches something, or God starts putting something in your heart, God gives you something, there's also an adversary that will test you on it. And he doesn't really give you time. He tests you on it almost immediately. I've learned that you get preached a sermon at you, you get a sermon preached at you, and within a week, you're getting tested on this thing. And that's just how it is. And he doesn't want to give you time. He just wants to, push you and discourage you is really what he wants to do. He wants to discourage you. Because the plan is to destroy the image of God. In every possible way he can destroy the image of God. So if that means destroying the life of God's people, then he'll destroy the life of God's people. If that means destroy marriage, because marriage is a picture of God and his bride, his church, then he'll destroy marriage. If he can destroy a church, he'll destroy the church. Every independent church he can, he's gonna destroy it, and he has his ways of doing it. He's going to destroy the image of God. He's, if he can get the Bible out of people's hands and put something that looks like a Bible but doesn't read the same because it has different words or it's missing verses, he will do that, and he has for a lot of people. So he will do these things. So we have to be vigilant. We have to know that adversary is walking about like a roaring lion, seeking who can devour. And he will devour when he can. So along those lines, last night, one of the themes that's been in my mind, that's been in a lot of my Bible study time lately, and I know I've mentioned it quite a bit in these car chats, is obedience. Been going through 1 John, and then last night, part of the sermon was about obedience. And it talked about, so we know, because it talks about, I don't know how many times in the Bible, it mentions, it's a whole bunch of times. It mentions that, to love God is to keep His commandments. To love God is to obey God. Obedience, having a will to obey, is how you love God. And I know I've said that, I don't know how many times, but it's true. That's how you show that you love God. And last night, you could ask the question, well, then how do you obey? How do you learn to be obedient? And there were two verses that were brought up. One of them was Hebrews 5:8. And it talked about that Jesus learned to obey through suffering. It says, through suffering these things. Now, to suffer, biblically, what that word actually means is to allow. So you're allowing these things that God wants you to allow. These things and generally we're talking about hard things that you don't want to allow, but you do. You suffer them because there are things God wants you to. God wants you to suffer these things, so you suffer them. Well, how do you do that? How do you allow or suffer the things that God wants you to suffer? I mean, it's hard to do that. Well, Philippians 2 tells us. I don't remember exactly which verse, so I'm not going to tell you which verse, because but if you look in Philippians 2, it is in there. That obedience is done through humility. We humble ourselves to obey God. So you humble yourself. That means you make yourself lower. You make yourself of really non-consequence. You don't matter. That's what humbling yourself means. It means compared to whatever it is you're humbling yourself against, you don't matter. It's the other person or the other thing that matters more. That's what humbling yourself is. So you make yourself less in order to suffer. Oh, shoot. Didn't see him. You make yourself less in order to suffer what God asks you to do. And you do that, and that teaches you obedience. That teaches you to be in obedience to God. So I hope that train of thought helps. I mean, it's kind of a line. It's not really the kind of thing you want to think about while you're doing a car chat. It's more of a Bible study type thing. But I'm hoping that you'll understand where I'm coming from, and you'll kind of follow that line in your mind, that the way you learn to love God, which is to love God, is to obey God. The way you learn how to obey God is to learn how to suffer things which you do by humbling yourself and making yourself lower than, in your mind, make yourself lower than whatever it is you're suffering. Because you're trying to be obedient to God. By obeying God, you're making yourself lower than God in your mind. If you don't want to obey God, then really what you're doing is you're doing the opposite of that. You're making yourself higher than God. Are you more important than God? Are you higher than He is? If the answer is yes, then you're not going to obey Him. But if the answer is no, well, then you'll obey Him. Love you. Hope you have a good day.